How long does it take to close on a VA home loan? I get this question all the time from both buyers agents, sellers agents, and clients themselves because they're interested in finding out, is this going to be a delayed process? Is it a horrible process? And I'll tell you all about that in today's video. So make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button to get more content like this. So let's just talk about the VA home loan briefly, okay? It's a great loan product. There's a ton of benefits to using the program, like no money down, no private mortgage insurance. It's flexible on credit. And it allows for higher DTIs. And if you have a service-connected disability, you can also qualify without property taxes. Huge benefits to the program. But there's a lot of stigma out there from veterans themselves. Like, look, we talk to thousands of people a year, and it's just like some veterans like, well, I heard the VA home loan is a horrible process. And then we talk to the real estate community, and we hear the same thing, that it takes forever to close. So I'm going to give you guys some tidbits on how to actually make your process a lot easier for yourself. A lot of lenders don't really know how to process VA home loans, even though they say they do. And then there's also big companies out there that you are all very familiar with because they have great marketing. They send you things in the mail, and guess what? Who pays for that? You do. Nothing is free in life. That's today's lesson. So you're going to have to pay for it one way or another. So let's go through what that process looks like from a high level of a home buying process, okay? First step is to get pre-approved. Your lender needs to request your certificate of eligibility. They're going to request all your loan documents, like your taxes if need be. They're going to request your pay stubs, LES, bank statements. All that stuff is needed. If you are not providing it and it seems really awesome and easy, you're going to have problems down the line because we get those phone calls all the time. The pre-approval is the most important aspect of your transaction, because if that is incorrect, then you could be facing getting denied a week before closing. You don't want to be able to do that. And a pre-approval is good for 90 days from the time that credit is pulled. And you also have a 45-day window to have your credit looked at unlimited times by a lending institution for it to count as one credit inquiry. Then the home search. Now this let me back up. The pre-approval process takes about 24 to 48 hours, depending on how complex or not complex it is. Then it's your home search. This process can take a long time. For some people, they already have a property in mind, or they're looking pretty far in advance before they buy a home. So it could be months. Sometimes it could be a year for that home search process. Now, let's talk about from the contract to closing portion. Okay, this is probably where the most important part that you want to understand. So from the time that you go under contract, that you have buyers and sellers have signed the loan document, and now you're getting ready to get to a closing table. So now you can be a homeowner of a property. And we're talking about existing properties because new construction take sometimes a very long time to close, like a year. We have those contracts all the time. So we're talking about a regular contract where the home is already built. So from the contract time to the closing time, on average, okay, it's going to be about 25 days, not business days, 25 total days. Now, a lot of lending institutions, the big ones we talked about earlier that market to the veteran community, they love the veteran community, they take about 35 to 60 days to close because they're not geared towards like having a specialized team that just does this, focuses on having a limited amount of client base and then just executing really fast on it, right? Like a QRF. They normally don't have that. And you need that competitive edge in a lot of markets. It's not necessarily you, because people will be like, well, I don't want to be pressured to close fast. It's not being pressured. That's what the market time is. That's what you're going to be faced with. And you got to make that decision. It's like, that's why it's also tough when to enter the market. Because if you enter too early, you close too early, it might be messing up your plans. So always factor all that in. And the fastest we've seen a VA home loan close is about 16 days or so. The one thing that's out of your control when you go under contract is the appraisal process. Now, we've done videos on appraisals before, so I'm going to kind of give you a quick snippet, right? A lender orders the appraisal to the VA. VA then assigns the appraiser to the appraisal, and then they go out and look at it. Now, depending on where you're at in the country, that time frame varies on what is the appraiser has. So most of the country has 10 to 14 business days from the time the appraisal is ordered for it to come back. We just had one right now, yesterday, 24 hours. It's the fastest one we've seen, and I think it's due to just a cooling down market piece to that. The other part is that the lender actually submit your paperwork through to the underwriter. Underwriting needs to underwrite the loan, and then you go to closing. That does sound very easy. I make it kind of sound nonchalant, but there is a plenty of factors that go into that. Now, let's talk about what factors are going to affect that closing timeline. And there's definitely things in a transaction that you will not be able to control. It could be as simple as, the appraiser went out to the property. It doesn't meet the VA property requirements. There has to be repairs. Okay, do you take those repairs on yourself, or do you ask the sellers to do those repairs? Because you can do escrow holdbacks, and we got plenty of videos on that as well. We're going to talk about how accurate your application was when you started the process. Make sure the lender is reviewing all the loan documents in the transaction at the time of pre-approval. If they're not asking you questions, you will run into problems. Most problems are manageable if the documents have been reviewed ahead of time. So those are things that you need to consider. You also want to understand how long the underwriting process takes, and are there any special requirements for your loan? Let's say if you're not using a VA loan, sometimes you have to get some type of credit certificate, or if you're using some kind of special program, you might have to do some additional things. Yes, there's going to be documents required throughout the entire home buying process, but that's to be expected. You might even have to submit a blood sample through the mail. Okay, it's a joke, but the thing is that it is a lot, and you definitely have to stay on top of it as well. The other piece to that is if you have any type of inspections done to the property, and you're trying to ask for credits, that can all delay a closing, right? 25 days is pretty standard, because within the first 24 hours of a transaction, you should be signing all your loan documents. They should be ordering the appraisal. A lot of times we order it prior to a home inspection. If it makes sense for you or not, that's up to you. The downside to doing that is that if you cancel the contract, you got the appraisal. But if you didn't order the appraisal and you didn't have a home inspection for a while, you could severely delay your closing. And if you delayed the closing, you could pay penalties for delaying that, okay? This is why also working with the right team, and for them to be able to explain that to you and based on your scenario is going to help you save money and time, and just be prepared for overall having a good transaction, because a lot of people for some reason still are having bad transactions in today's market. And there's things that you cannot control. So my advice is to get with an experienced lender. If you guys want to contact us, my schedule a call with us is down below. We work with realtors across the country that can help you in that journey, that are experienced with working with veterans. So hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys soon.